Good evening to our audience. Today, for our seventh Better Life Convos, I would like to, first of all, thank Better Life for the good work they are doing in terms of ensuring that people are well informed with regards to well-being and the potential benefits across our workplaces. So I'll use this opportunity to then introduce my panel of speakers this evening. We do have a very, very diverse panel, and each of them brings their own unique differences to the conversations today. The first panelist is Fumi Abiola. She's a marketing and strategy specialist. Fumi has worked across different regions, successfully driving brand campaigns for major global organizations. She's also an influencer focused on ensuring that she drives youth development, especially in the area of marketing communications. She has quite a bit of content on LinkedIn, so please do feel free to ensure that you follow Fumi. She has had a successful career so far and will be bringing that to bear in our conversations. And I'd like to introduce our second panelist right now. Our second panelist, is Musa Ali Baba. Musa Ali is a veteran in terms of the depth of experience he has across industries, being an entrepreneur and also rising to CEO in various organizations. He's an angel investor, so he's really passionate about enabling startups to get on their feet and be successful. He's also done some work in the area of government, passionate about politics, and was second cohort in the School of for Politics Policy and Governance. So we have somebody who has the depth, not just the depth of experience, but also has been at leadership positions at the highest levels. He's doing a lot of work both in the private and public sector. So he would bring the perspective from a CEO's view around how the workplace relationships can be beneficial and what we need to do in terms of setting boundaries. But last but not the least is Ebenezer. I'll take the liberty to say, of course, he's our Gen Z in the house today. Ebenezer is an HR analyst with Oando Energy Resources. Very, very passionate about talent acquisition, ensuring that, there are development initiatives that drive employee engagement. He's also keen on driving strategy in the area of human resources. Of course, data is the future, so he's also building that capability to become a specialist in the HR data analytics space. Ebenezer today would obviously be sharing his experience with us in the area of building relationships from a younger generation perspective, because I do believe that part of our audience today, we have a variety of individuals, CEOs, early careers, mid careers, senior careers, and also people who may not necessarily be in career but are in business. And we know that in business, you also need to build relationships. So that's our panel today. I'm sure that we would have a really insightful time with them. And before we get the ball rolling, we really would like to get a sense of what the expectation is today in the room from everyone. So please, we would like you to take a very, very short poll that we would like to administer right now. So if the technical crew can help us with that poll. So please, very quickly, you'll see it appear on your screens. What do you hope to gain from this webinar? So, we just want to have a sense to ensure that, we're able to meet your expectations and hopefully exceed those expectations. So while you're taking the poll, just a bit of housekeeping, we have a Q&A box. So please put in your questions in the Q&A. As much as possible, we would try to answer as many as we can. But please, even if we can't answer everything, I'm sure that based on the questions asked, Better Life would also push out content that is relevant to what we're asking today. So if we please could take the poll, and I think that shouldn't take too long to achieve. So we can just delve right into the conversation today. Okay, thank you very much, So we can see the highest, of course, 50% of our audience, practical tips for building relationships. I mean, if that's what you're looking out for, definitely you're in the right place this evening. So you will be making very good use of 75 minutes of your time. And then after that, we have understanding the impact on career growth. And then as a tie, we have strategies for setting boundaries and insights on navigating conflict. So thank you very much, our audience, for participating. So now I would go straight into the conversation. But I think the first thing I just want to throw out there to our panel, having just quickly watched the video, just in maybe 1-2 minutes, if you could just each share what your thoughts were on the video that we watched about the Wells Fargo employee. So I would start with Musa. Musa, if you could just share with us very quickly, 1-2 minutes, your thoughts on that video.
Hello, Isa. Thank you very much. I watched that video and felt a strong sense of sadness. In this age, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but in this age of, remote working, there's a strong sense of loneliness that comes with it. And that has to be managed, especially, from a leadership position. You have to see that a healthy team environment is what works in an organization. And in this situation, you have someone who was totally lonely. I'm sure it shouldn't be so. I'm sure that it might be a bit embarrassing for the bank itself. But beyond all of those things, this is not a pleasant story for anybody to experience, especially directly. And these are the kind of things that we talk about, relationships. And, in this, we're talking about a spectrum of things. But at the end of the day, everyone wants to feel that there's someone there that cares for them, and there's someone there that they care for, who would feel their absence if it were even an hour without contact, for example. And 4 days, is a very, very lonely place to be. But that is one of the realities of the remote work environment that we have, of society that we have, and it's something that should be counterproductive to the workplace.
Thank you very much, Musa, for that perspective. So if I'll go to Ebenezer now, what struck you in watching that video?
Thank you, Isa, and thanks everyone for joining today. I would say what struck me particularly in that video is lack of relationships in the workplace. It's a very sad event that happened, that she had to die. But I would say before that incident would have happened, I mean, not to pass blame on anyone, but I believe, she would have been in some sort of discomfort, and there must have been a way to just, call out for help. That's on the side of the employee now. If she had friends that probably she hangs out with in the office, she would have noticed that this lady is missing, even within a few hours, not even up to a day. So that's one. And I think it also just speaks to a safety culture in the office. Like Musa had mentioned, it's very important. There must be a safety culture, that if there's any emergency, personally, there should be something that should happen in that sort of big organization. So it just speaks to the safety culture in the organization there, and also the relationship that she has built over time. If she had strong relationships with her colleagues, either, in Mr. Climb, you find sometimes leaving the office, you probably have a group of people you actually leave the office with, or coming to the office, you have a group of people you actually that would see you at different points in time. And if she has built that relationship, you would have noticed that this person is missing, even within a few hours of working during that day. And it's either they would have found her earlier, or that incident would have happened at all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ebenezer. So Musa spoke about loneliness in the workplace, and Ebenezer has told us about the importance of having a safety culture and ensuring we build relationships. So Fumi, what are your own thoughts on the video we watched?
Okay, thank you, Isa. So for me, I find it quite surprising that nobody found out that she was missing, or signaled it, because I believe that, you know, she would have had a manager and subordinates, so maybe some tasks were to be, you know, completed and things like that. So I'm quite surprised that nobody noticed it earlier. That's really the area I really can't wrap my head around, because it's not normal. 4 days is a long time, actually. So maybe after 2 days, somebody should have noticed somewhere that, okay, she's not responding to messages, even with remote working. Somebody could have noticed that, you know, something was off and tried to reach out to her. So even beyond having a good relationship with colleagues, I still find it quite, you know, abnormal.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fumi, for that. And so just on the back of what three of you have shared in terms of the video, we can clearly see that building relationships in the workplace does have a very strong impact. In fact, from this video, it's literally a life and death situation, right? No pun intended. If you think of the fact that 4 whole days, you know, somebody had passed on and nobody noticed. So obviously, in terms of ensuring that we build relationships in our workplaces, there are certain benefits. And so let's sort of move away a bit from the morbid to things where, in terms of our audience's expectation, what kind of impact can that potentially have on your career? So now we'll just delve into what we think some of the benefits potentially are, and just sharing from our own personal experiences as a panel. So Fumi, just back to you, right? In your view, right, and having just seen, you know, your career trajectory and some of the things you've achieved and accomplished, how would you say, how have strong work relationships helped in terms of impacting your career growth and giving you job satisfaction?
Okay, so I also take on core values for new joiners in my organization. And one of the things I tell them is to build a good or strong internal network, because it's quite important. And I think sometimes people tend to downplay that. So in my role as a marketing professional, my internal network has really helped me. For example, I have events and I have, you know, deliverables. Sometimes my deadlines are quite short and I have to make it work. And so I have noticed over time that the relationships that I have with people in different departments help me achieve my goals. So it's very important for me to, I didn't set out doing this consciously. I just I just understand that I'm spending a lot of time at work. And so it's important for me to get along as much as possible with people. So I greet people, you know, and because I work with different brands, I tend to meet with different people. And so it helps me. So for example, I know people in the finance department, I know people across board. And so whenever I need to get something done, I don't just send emails. I can put a call through or even walk to their office to ensure that things are done. So this is one of the ways that having a good network actually has helped me within my organization. I would also say that I've also gotten sponsored by some of my bosses in previous times for certain roles. I remember when I was in Paris and I was seeking to come back to Nigeria, it was a boss that actually one of my colleagues had shared my aspirations with him, and he just took it on really and started talking to other people, just because I believe he knew I was dedicated and he knew that if he sponsored me, I would not disappoint. Well, by the grace of God. So I've also gotten sponsored. I've been inspired by, you know, just seeing people grow as well. And that has opened my eyes to understand that I am also able to grow. So I have a fantastic team. So currently I am wearing 2 hats. I'm also doing an interim, I've taken on a second job for a certain period. And my team is helping me accomplish these 2 tasks because we have a good working relationship. Sometimes I tell them, if you can't reach me via email, send me a WhatsApp message. So we are able to communicate, and having these relationships has really helped me. So for me, you cannot be in a corporate organization without having good relationships. You will not grow, because you need people to help you in your career.